J. Slater, Day 14. Shock as Spanish cops abandon search for missing teen.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't hear. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Well, I'm not sure anyone expected this. On the 2-week anniversary of Jay Slater's disappearance, Spanish cops have thrown in the towel. It would have made sense, I feel, to have searched one more day, perhaps using those additional resources, minimal as they were, just a trickle of volunteers that turned up on Saturday. Perhaps a couple of them would have returned today. Perhaps a few more than turned up yesterday. I think the withdrawal of the cops from the search indicates a certain undercurrent of brewing discontent and animus, a war of words at times between the Spanish and the British, but perhaps more so an endless tide of words, criticism, undermining and negative press from the British. For example, I don't think it helps anyone for an investigator to come charging in saying, if it's up to him, he can find Jay in 3 days. Imagine what the Spanish think hearing that, seeing that. Probably a more pertinent factor are Paul Arnott's comments yesterday criticizing the search as ridiculous, poorly timed, and using words like mad. He also suggested yesterday that Scottish rescuers be summoned to the scene. I think he was also complaining that the Spanish police were sitting in their vehicles. And I think he said, guys, I've literally been waiting for ages now. This is a massive PR thing, I'm telling you now. And I think what he's kind of getting at was, he was saying that this wasn't actually a search, it was just PR for the police, which I don't know, I find a little strange because obviously he's an influencer, and so what he's doing is PR for his channel. Arguably, the police could have used some PR to summon locals to the search. So, if they had gotten their PR, and perhaps even if Paul had endorsed them to some extent, then maybe there would have been a bigger search today. Because, virtually the only people who turned up were Spanish. And so Paul went on to say, I'm going to ask them in a second to take my name off the list and do my own thing. This is ridiculous. Everyone's in their cars. It's all chat, chat, chat. My morning's been wasted. I've been so quiet about this. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm sick of this crap. Now, he may be totally justified in feeling that way, but putting that out into the public, words like, this is ridiculous, the morning is wasted, it's crap, they don't have to be there. The police don't have to be there. And so they've elected not to be there anymore. And if you think about it, actually the police have been the most silent out of everyone. If you think, wow, it sounds like you're defending them. Yes, I am. They've done the most work for the longest period of time without giving press conferences every day, unlike everybody else. The family's been giving press conferences. Other people, not even really associated, have been doing it. Influencers have, and there tends to be a little bit of negativity towards the Spanish. So the Spanish have actually been not giving press conferences, not cheerleading their own efforts, while calmly searching each day for almost 2 weeks. And then yesterday, to be criticized the way they were, are you going to carry on searching, right? And do you remember when they were called to summon another British hiker, rightly or wrongly? They went out, found this hiker, and then they told they weren't needed to begin with. He didn't need rescuing. It's got to leave a bad taste in their mouths. And so Paul slammed the Tenerife police, this is from, I think, the Mirror, for the absolute madness of their search. He said, I'm so blooming stressed and annoyed about what's actually happened. I thought today was going to be so productive. I thought so many people were going to show up. Well, it's disappointing, but it's not the police's fault. And I must say, I was surprised that so few British people turned up. They were the only people that I know of that turned up was a 40-year-old mother, but a Spanish local, and another Spanish hiker. Those are the people I'm aware of. Anyway, Paul Arnott went on to say, I thought it was going to be really organized, and I thought it was going to get out, not start the search when the hottest point of the day is. I just thought it was going to be massive, and it's not. Well, all of us thought it was going to be massive. He says, it's absolute madness, guys. I wish we could start a GoFundMe or something and just send a load of search and rescue guys from Scotland out. And again, saying, wow, I wish we could get somebody else to do the search. The best people to do the search are the local authorities, and they really deserve the support of everyone. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the cops got wind of these comments and said, that's it, we're done. And I'd say at this point, a search is better than no search. Before we continue our analysis, and I think we do need to think about what happens after this, where do we take things from here? If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. If you appreciate the perspective I brought to this, has it added to the hysteria? Has it added to like being on someone's side and undermining the other side? Or has it been about, let's try and actually find this person and figure out what happened, right? If you appreciate that, please subscribe, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's continue. So Paul yesterday also said, it's horrible. I've been checking loads of different areas, and some days I've been with the police and mountain rescue who have told me where to go and search. Maybe Monday I can contact Scottish Mountain Rescue and see if we can have a chat about things. But at this moment, it's ridiculous. This is mad. Now, he has made other comments where he was supportive. I think he used the word brilliant. And I can understand his frustration. I felt quite frustrated yesterday. I'm not sure whether the media sort of set us up for this massive search. I don't know who came up with that word. I don't know if the police said that word. I don't know if they simply said we'd like a large search. The police did say, we don't want just any volunteers. We want qualified people. That's already going to restrict. And that is the tricky part of this terrain. You can't just have anybody searching. You need people who have the skills and who can deal with this kind of difficult terrain, basically unsafe terrain. And so, hopes are now fading fast that the 19-year-old from Lancashire might be found within the next 3 weeks. So what's next? Where do we go from here? I have to say I agree with Mark Williams-Thomas that now is the time to use that GoFundMe dosh, not on flying family members over, but on flying experts and getting expert resources involved. In other words, as Williams-Thomas says, start to fund a private search. Do you think the family will do that? Now, he says that he's advised them, I don't know if it's directly or via the media, but he's advised them to bring in a team of experts to carry out their own private search, right? And that is according to Bristol Live. I actually lived in Bristol for about a year. Anyway, the article goes on. The police have put considerable resources into searching for Jay, and of course, it is very disappointing for the family that the search by the police is now ended. And that's according to what Mark Williams-Thomas told the Mirror. Now, you may remember even the family, even Lucy, criticized the police. You're not doing enough. You're not telling us enough, or whatever it is. Well, it's better having them search than them not having a search. And so that's where things lead at the end of the day. And so, besides the scathing criticism of the Spanish, another aspect of this case that I've noticed, I'm sure you have as well, it has really irked me. It's really, I find, totally inappropriate. And anyway, it's just this horrible dark cloud of social media hanging over this case. And, the only people that can really address this cloud isn't me or other influencers. It's you. It's the people following these folks, supporting these folks, not criticizing these folks, going along with these folks, being part of that whole cacophony. And so according to The Guardian, listen to this, as well as dealing with the distress of a missing loved one, the family and friends of the teenager have had to deal with lots of online noise around the case, bizarre and far-fetched conspiracy theories. Well, not just the family and friends, also the authorities. In a previous interview with The Guardian, Slater's mother, Debbie, said she called the online speculation horrible and said Spanish police had told her it may hinder the investigation. And I think that's now exactly what has happened. This horrible speculation has reached such a point that it has hindered the investigation. Arnott, perhaps meaning well, and I think may have played into that destructive noise, not just him, but I think that was quite important. I think him taking his name off the list, they also found insulting. I think he felt insulted and he felt maybe hurt and he felt frustrated, but I think equally they would have as well. I think he could have been an asset to their PR initiatives, and instead he ended up being almost the most vocal critic. So Paul has previously told the Mirror that he's been in touch with Jay's family and how they are making him proud. Have they said the same thing about the Spanish police? So, I think it's water under the bridge. What's done is done. You can't really cry over spilt milk. It's now up to the Brits to organize and manage and strategize their own search. And perhaps Arnott and Mark Williams Thomas can be partners of a sort and help manage that team. How about for the next week? For the next week, let's see what you guys can do. Bring in some of those Scottish resources, pull in maybe a bounty hunter, I'd said previously, put up a reward, put up £5,000, £10,000, get the locals incentivized to search, bring in a Bear Grylls type of person, maybe get some rock climbers into the mix to go rappelling down, obviously expert rock climbers down some of the ravines, go down to some of the spots where no one has been able to go down. And now I think is the time to see if people will put their money where their mouths are. I'm not going to take it further than that, except to say, I like to think of myself as a voice of sanity in the true crime space, not only in this case, but generally, because true crime just always goes down these paths of least resistance. It's always the same shock value. And, again, to be accused of clickbait, all of that stuff is clickbait. It's all nonsense. But people gravitate towards the most shocking nonsense. And so just as a parting shot, I just want to say I always do, to make my contribution sensible and kind and educated in things like statistics and facts, and to be practical and have my perspective based on scientific knowledge. I don't see a lot of other people doing that, and there's not much of an incentive into doing that because it's dry. A lot of people say, oh, this is so boring. I'm sure it is, but it is reality. That is what we're angling at, is where is Jay and what happened to him, not these sort of far-fetched theories that are very interesting, but it's very far-fetched and very off the rails. So I do think my work is a rare instance that stands apart, not only in this case, but in almost generally, if you look at true crime, it stands apart from the sensational negativity that we so often see in this type of situation. I hope those watching from the sidelines, I hope you've taken note of how things have evolved and also devolved. And I hope you've sort of learned from that this is the result. You might say, well, I also thought that, and that, hearing what you want to hear might not always be best for a situation. Hearing what you want to hear might not actually be good for somebody else that's actually perhaps doing their best or at least doing something. Hearing what you want to hear may also not be reality or the truth. The official search for Jay Slater has unfortunately ended, and now we're going to see if the unofficial search continues and how it goes from here. Obviously, this channel will be monitoring that, and let's see what happens. I think I provided a couple of helpful suggestions. I think the number one is put up a reward. You've got some money. It will be an incentive. Let's see what happens. what do you guys think? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.